Investors who did nothing wrong are getting sued. You have to do these two things before it happens to you. My name is Ryan. I've flipped hundreds of houses, and I'm going to tell you what no one else admits. No one wants to be the person holding the bag. You have to be living under a rock to not realize that there's some challenges going on right now in the real estate market, whether it be affordability, declining rent, or even declining property values. If you bought a house 6 months ago and today it was worth $100,000 less, you'd want somebody to blame, right? Other than yourself. We're seeing a pretty alarming trend of sellers suing anyone and everyone they can, even if nothing was done wrong. We're also seeing a lot of claims come through against real estate agents. I posted about this a couple years back, but the agents that were telling their clients to waive inspections, pay above the appraised value just to get a home, now have clients that bought a home they probably shouldn't have bought and definitely shouldn't have paid what they paid, who are looking for somebody to blame. An example that I previously shared on YouTube was a flip that I sold where the seller had their attorney reach out stating that there was no power run to the microwave. We installed a microwave that there physically wasn't power for. Comically though, if you look at the listing photos, it's on. It also wasn't caught in the inspection report as being non-functional. Another example is a buddy of mine that just got hit up by an attorney for a whole new sewer line. He remodeled a home, flipped it. During the inspection, they had it fully inspected. Some things came up. I think they even did like a sewer scope. He hired a licensed third party to do some work to it. Inspector signed off on it. After she bought the home, she ran into some issues. So she called ServPro, which is like the most expensive plumbing company. ServPro is who you call when you want to give like an outrageous bid to your insurance company to make sure your claim is fully paid. It is not who you want to hire to do actual plumbing work as an investor. But they hit her with something like $30,000, which she's like, I shouldn't have to pay this. I want you to pay it. So let's talk about how this actually works. The first thing to consider is you don't have to have actually done anything wrong. I grew up with kind of the like nice guy mindset of if I treat people well, if I take care of people, people will love me, my businesses will grow, and my life will be nice and easy. What I've found is two people can go through the same experience and have wildly different interpretations of what happened or what should have happened. So that property you sold that passed inspection that they agreed to buy in writing as is, they might feel like you're actually on the hook for some stuff. Nobody wants to admit that they've been through this process, so I don't think it's talked about. I was under the impression it was like Judge Judy, right? You go before somebody reasonable, it doesn't cost you anything. They share their side, you share your side, which is clearly correct. They tell the other person they're an idiot and you get to go home. The fact of the matter is, it is wildly different. Typically, these operate more like a shakedown. So the person that hires the attorney typically isn't spending any money. That's done for free on a contingency basis. The attorney gets paid a portion of whatever they can collect from you, even if you didn't do anything wrong. Typically, they'll demand a full jury trial, which when you talk to your attorney, they'll tell you it's going to cost you about $30,000 to get there, even if you did nothing wrong. Bright side is even if you win, you typically can't get that money back. That's just your contribution. The really crappy part is typically who's going to be on that jury is going to be a jury of their peers, not yours or mine. I don't know about you, but anytime I get a jury duty notice, I'm like, how can I not have to go do this? Even if the jury says, well, we don't really feel like this was your responsibility, but we feel bad. They're tight on cash. I mean, you just bought a brand new house and surely you made money on the flip. If the jury finds not in your favor, they're going to next sue you for all of the legal fees. Forget the percentage that they got. They're going to bill you for every hour, and it's not going to be at minimum wage. And who's to say they're not going to be a little generous? One of the single biggest things that real estate investors don't realize, the second you get sued, you're borderline financially radioactive. One of the first questions that gets asked on any loan application, especially mortgages, is are you currently named or involved in any litigation against you? What would it mean for your family if you couldn't get a mortgage to buy your family home? Or for your business if you could no longer borrow bank or hard money debt? Another example of one of these that just happened last week to a friend of mine, he sold a property that had previously had some water damage. He disclosed what the water damage was on the sales disclosures. They signed off on it. All of the repairs were warranted, all that good stuff. The property then got wet and they came after him claiming failure to disclose. I've always heard from folks who've been in business longer than me that if you do it long enough, you're going to get sued. And my take was always, oh, not me though. That happens to other people that are sketchy. I'm trying to do everything above board and we treat people how we want to be treated, but that doesn't matter. The first thing that's absolutely critical, and you have to do it before any sort of an event happens, is talk to your insurance broker. Chances are a claim like this is going to come from one of two places. First one being somebody you sold a property to or somebody that got injured on a job site. Second one being an employee. If you have folks on payroll, the other very common one here is employee-employer disputes. Some general business policies will cover like frivolous lawsuits. On the employee side, what you're looking for is ELPI. If you're a real estate agent or broker, you're also going to want to have E&O, which is like errors and omissions if you accidentally write something down the wrong way. One of the guys that I've worked with in CCF flipped a home in a major downtown area. I think he was even paying a sewer bill. He sold the house, it closed, thought everything was fine and dandy, got paid on the project, then gets a letter from an attorney. Unbeknownst to him, downtown urban city area, property actually was on a septic system that wasn't disclosed to him. He wasn't aware of it, so he didn't disclose it to the buyer. The buyer in this instance claimed like religious, I can't live somewhere where my waste is stored. And what they're wanting is him to buy the property back from them, plus compensate them $1 million. I don't know about you, but the average mom and pop investor that I work with doesn't have 7 figures in cash liquid. The easiest way to get yourself in trouble in a hurry is with sales disclosures. Anytime you buy a property and put it on market, you're supposed to disclose any known defects or anything that you have been made aware of. And you want to be very detailed with these. I'll give you an example. The property that I'm currently in has been hit by wildfire in the past. I'm in a high wildfire area. And if I were to sell this home, I wouldn't want to just say something like the property had fire damage to some trees. I'd want to be hyper specific of the property had fire damage to trees on the northwest corner that also impacted some of the pool equipment, which has since been replaced. That prevents somebody from coming back and saying, well, I didn't know that it hit the pool equipment, or I didn't know it was on that side of the property, therefore I want or need blank. When it comes to sales disclosures, your agent will often flick it over in some sort of an e-sign software. Makes it very easy to accidentally breeze through things because it will skip to the points that you need to sign or fill out, particularly if your agent flicks it over with things pre-confirmed. It's possible with these e-sign software, it's because it jumps from what you need to sign that you could skip an entire page of something you should have disclosed or should have left out. Literally yesterday, my business partner Noah got subpoenaed to come up for deposition like 2 hours away from our office on a property we sold back in 2022. We didn't do anything wrong, but the husband and wife are now fighting about who the property should go to, and for some reason, that's our problem. Desperate people often do dumb things and lash out. When somebody buys a home and it goes down in value, that doesn't feel good. When you're working for someone and that is your source of income and that stops, even if it was due to fault of your own, that doesn't feel good. And often people are looking for, where can I place this blame, or how can I make myself whole without admitting that this was my fault or that I did anything wrong? I can give you countless examples of this exact same thing happening. My friend in Florida that flipped a house that after he'd sold it, the property developed a sinkhole. That became his problem. My tenant that post-eviction flooded my home and did $56,000 worth of damage that the court decided he wasn't responsible for. He didn't mean to leave the water lines open and running on the second story when he took out his washer and dryer, right? Remember, in the US, this is a shakedown. In non-liberal markets, I'm sure it's way more in California. In Florida, for me to defend against something like this would have cost me $30,000, which kind of gets me to my second point, and that is you do need to stay liquid to some extent. Tying up every dollar you have in projects not only isn't necessarily the right decision from like a financial perspective, but it's also going to cost you a lot of your peace. Your peace is super valuable and you need to protect it. And you're gonna feel more comfortable if you've got $10,000 or $20,000 that you can throw at something to make it go away versus not having anywhere to pull that from or needing to sell assets or take loans. You can spend an absolute fortune proving that you were right and didn't do anything wrong. But would you rather spend $100K on principal or throw somebody $3,000 or $5,000 to get them to release their claims? As a person with an extremely strong moral code, and I'm very stubborn, part of me is like, let me die on this high horse, but I have to ask, is that me being a good steward of the resources that I've been entrusted to, or is that just my ego? If you're not in community with other business owners, you're not going to hear content like this. Nobody wants to talk about what it's like when you get sued, how you feel, what you're thinking about, what the consequences are. It's just not something that you're typically going to see a video on. If you're not in a community, chances are you're not going to get advice like this. Who wants to admit to strangers on the internet, other than apparently me for some self-deprecating reason, how this process goes? What it feels like, or even what you're thinking and feeling. I want to thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today. I hate that I'm even qualified to make a video on this subject, but my prayer is that maybe God uses it to help one of you guys as you're currently walking through this, or maybe even help you completely avoid the problem. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe for more unfortunate content like this, and I will talk to you guys next time.